Alrighty, hey guys, Mr. Adamson here. Welcome to another lesson in Science 14. This lesson is going to build off the human systems presentation that is an earlier video lesson, and we're going to talk specifically about the cardiovascular system or the circulatory system. So you can just see quickly on this picture here all the veins and arteries and how your blood's going to flow through the system, how it interacts with other body systems. We're going to specifically take notice to the digestive system. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this video. Now, the role of the circulatory system is to move blood throughout the body. So, I mean, that's its primary role. It wants to move it. It wants to get it to all the tissues. It wants to deliver the oxygen that's on the blood. It wants to deliver the nutrients. It wants to take the waste out. I mean, it keeps every cell with the required nutrients that it needs. Now, the circulatory system is a closed transport system, meaning that the blood that is pumped from the heart returns to the heart. So if I was to put a little bit of dye in my blood and it was pumped from my heart, it would go around my body and return back. So it's closed. It just keeps circulating. Now, deoxygenated blood, so blue in the pictures, but is actually a very, very dark red, and oxygenated blood, so red in the pictures, in real life it's red, are pumped around the body. Now, if you look at your skin right now, you can see on your hands or in your arms, it looks like there's a blue tinge underneath your skin. That is your deoxygenated blood. That's the blood in your veins. Now, it's not actually blue. It's just the way the transparency works in your skin. It's actually a very dark red color. So if you were to cut yourself and you were to cut a vein and you were to cut an artery, you would see a distinct difference between the types of blood. Now, if we start here talking about the process of the blood flow, let's start right here where my cursor is, right in the oxygenated side here. Now, the heart receives oxygen-rich blood from the lungs. Okay, so we're coming here. We can see the pulmonary vein is pushing oxygen-rich blood. Just follow my cursor here, okay, to the heart. So it's picked up the oxygen that we've breathed in through the lungs, attached it to the hemoglobin in our blood, and it's in the heart now. Now, the arteries, so the blood, the atriums, it's going to pump the blood to the arteries. Now, the arteries are going to go out this way to our head and forelimbs and going to come down this way to the rest of our body. And then the arteries takes this blood away from the heart to the body tissues. And then the oxygen, so we can see here these net-looking structures, this is our capillaries. The oxygen diffuses through the capillary walls, so very, very thin vessels in our body, into different body tissues and cells. Now, after the blood has delivered the oxygen and nutrients through the capillaries here, it's also going to pick up different wastes, and so it's going to become very dark color because it doesn't have the oxygen attached to it anymore. And the veins, so the blue structures here, return the oxygen poor blood from the body tissues to the heart. And then the ventricles we see here in the heart pump the blood to the lungs to get more oxygen. And then the process just repeats itself. So go back to the lungs, pick up oxygen, help us breathe out carbon dioxide, and back. And it's just a continual circle. Here's a quick little video just to kind of explain this too.
Your heart is a pump. It's a muscular organ about the size of your fist and is located slightly left of center in your chest. Your heart is divided into the right and left side. The division protects oxygen-rich blood from mixing with oxygen-poor blood. Together, your heart and blood vessels comprise your cardiovascular system, which circulates blood and oxygen around your body. In fact, your heart pumps about 5 quarts of blood every minute, and it beats about 100,000 times in one day. That's about 35 million times in a year. Oxygen-poor blood, blue blood, returns to the heart after circulating through your body. The right side of the heart, composed of the right atrium and ventricle, collects and pumps the blood to the lungs through the pulmonary arteries. The lungs refresh the blood with a new supply of oxygen, making it turn red. Oxygen-rich blood, red blood, then enters the left side of the heart, composed of the left atrium and ventricle, and is pumped through the aorta to the body to supply tissues with oxygen. 4 valves within your heart keep your blood moving the right way. The tricuspid, mitral, pulmonary and aortic valves work like gates on a fence. They open only one way and only when pushed on. Each valve opens and closes once per heartbeat, or about once every second. A beating heart contracts and relaxes. Contraction is called systole, and relaxing is called diastole. During systole, your ventricles contract, forcing blood into what's going to your lungs and body, much like ketchup being forced out of a squeeze bottle. The right ventricle contracts a little bit before the left ventricle does. Your ventricles then relax during diastole and are filled with blood coming from the upper chambers and left and right atria. Then the cycle starts over again. Your heart is nourished by blood too. Blood vessels, called coronary arteries, extend over the surface of your heart and branch into smaller capillaries. Here you can see just the network of blood vessels that feed your heart with oxygen-rich blood. Your heart also has electrical wiring, which keeps it beating. Electrical impulses begin high in the right atrium and travel through specialized pathways to the ventricles, delivering the signal to pump. The conduction system keeps your heart beating in a coordinated and normal rhythm, which in turn keeps blood circulating. A continuous exchange of oxygen-rich blood with oxygen-poor blood is what keeps you alive.
Now that just kind of was a quick synopsis of what the circulatory system does, how it pumps, name of the valves, how the blood passes around the system. Next thing we're going to talk about is blood pressure. Now, blood pressure is the pressure of the blood in the circulatory system, often measured for diagnosis since it is closely related to the force and rate of the heartbeat and the diameter and elasticity of the arterial walls. So meaning, how well does your blood pump around your body and what sort of pressure is there when your heart is pumping that blood. If we look here at this blood pressure chart, this shows on the side here, these numbers in white, this shows your age and what your blood pressure should be at. So most of you guys in this class right now, you're in this 15 to 18, and all of you for the most part around that 120 over high 70s to 80. Girls, you're right in the same thing, maybe a little bit lower, and that's what your blood pressure should be at. And here's just another quick YouTube video just explaining blood pressure, just to make sure you have a quick understanding of what it's about when you go to do your assessments.
Blood pressure. Water flows with a higher pressure when you connect a tube to a pump set operating in your field or house. Also, the tube bursts open if the pressure is very high. Similarly, when the heart pumps blood into systemic aorta or into the pulmonary trunk, the blood flows with pressure in the blood vessels. The pressure with which the blood flows in the blood vessels is called the blood pressure, usually called BP. Arteries receive blood from the heart, so blood pressure is higher in the artery. The blood pressure gradually decreases as blood flows into capillaries. When this blood is collected into veins, blood pressure is greatly reduced. So, blood pressure is less in the veins when compared to the arteries. Blood pressure is measured by doctors using an instrument called the sphygmomanometer. Blood pressure levels are written in the form of 120 by 80. This is normal blood pressure. The numerator 120 represents systolic pressure, and the denominator 80 represents diastolic pressure. During the systolic, when the ventricles contract, the blood is pumped into the arteries. So the blood pressure in the arteries increases immediately after the systolic. This rise in the blood pressure in the arteries is called the systolic pressure. When the diastolic occurs, more blood is pumped by the heart. The blood vessels return to the normal diameter and maintain blood pressure at a lower level. This is diastolic pressure. Hypertension or high blood pressure. In some people, the blood pressure will be very high, more than the usual 120 by 80. Such a condition is called hypertension, usually called high BP. One of the reasons for this is the blocking of arteries by cholesterol. Constant stress and strain for a long time, improper functioning in kidneys, smoking, and alcohol consumption are also the reasons for hypertension. This condition, if not treated for a long time, may also lead to other health problems, and it may lead to the death of the person. Diet control, moderate exercise, and avoiding stress, smoking, and alcohol consumption, as well as taking appropriate medicine, will help to control this problem.
Alrighty, so there is a little bit about the circulatory system, the process of blood flowing through your body, and how blood pressure works, how it's managed, what it means, and how you can all reduce it. So I hope you're able to take some from that today. Thanks for listening and have a great day.